look at this chart. And they were like, can you just shut up and eat your meal? Um, but yeah, it was very exciting. What else
The,
happened from
well,
last month to this one?
exactly. There are a bunch of other things which happen, which is uh, kind of difficult to. Well, it's not difficult to remember, but it kind of just gets dwarfed by the fact there's so much notional traded. But
Yeah.
some of those things were hopefully people saw kind of the updates to the P optimizers. There's quite a lot of work actually that had to go into that. There was obviously the end of season one and the start of season two, which obviously the work for season two has to be done before the season starts, clearly. So there's a huge amount of work which took place to the team to get that ready. And for anybody that's eagle-eyed, you'll see that the requirements for season two have changed just to kind of keep things fun. And it's also worth saying that the kind of there was quite a lot of trading at the very end of the season last year, which is obviously great to see. But each badge actually has a date of earning, which is ultimately recorded on chain. So earning badges earlier is in the season is in kind of always a sensible thing to be doing if you're wanting to be doing those trades anyway, rather than leaving it all to the last minute. So there's to have all of that go live is huge progress. Then of course we had that kind of crazy few days as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go through step what else happened in the last month, especially around the new pools, season two. But it's worth mentioning this, right? So everything is on chain. There is clearly some of the trading that was also oriented on obtaining certain badges. So we keep track of everything, and as season progress, requirements change, and not only that, but we proactively want to make it a bit more difficult. So OGs, they had the opportunity to break things, and it was super helpful to have like those early users and adopters that helped us growth. So yeah, we will always try to recognize that. But cool. So that's kind of like a general update, if we wish. You already touched on the new season that has started, but let's kind of look at a little bit. So we have a lot of users that joined recently. Not just the volume of trade was incredible, but also I think we 3x the number of users during the last month. Maybe it's worth to do like a very quick what is Voltz. Would you like to do that? A quick intro?
In terms of what, so for anybody that's new, kind of what we as a Voltz Labs team are really focused on is frankly building 0 to 1 innovations in DeFi that move the whole sector forwards and provide really powerful tools to people all around the world. And what we have built in the first instance with Voltz V1 is an interest rate swap exchange that lets you trade fixed or variable rates on top of kind of assets that produce rates of return. So you can see in the protocol, on the app rather, that there are pools which are live for kind of markets like staked ETH. So we've got Lido and Rocket markets live. There's also markets for kind of Avian Compound lend markets, but then there's also markets for Avian Compound borrow markets. Because again, when you're borrowing on those protocols, it's a variable rate. And what you can do using Voltz is you can, with leverage, trade such that you're entering either what's described as a fixed taker position, where you are effectively selling the underlying variable rate and receiving a fixed rate of return, or you can enter what's described as a variable taker position, where you're taking the underlying variable rate and selling the current fixed rate into kind of the market. And what that kind of ultimately means, it means you can take different views on the way in which these different rates are going to move over a period of time. Or, of course, you can actually use it for hedging purposes as well. And there are kind of, depending on kind of how sophisticated you want to get, there are a bunch of people who are kind of using Voltz for hedging purposes. So it's not just speculation. And I guess for anybody that is completely new, the protocol was launched on the 1st of June last year. And then over those 6 months, obviously there's kind of more markets going live. There's more kind of features in the community, like the Community V2, the Trader League. But then also, more importantly, beyond all of that, the kind of notional that was being traded week on week was growing pretty quickly. And then obviously through Christmas, it kind of grew very, very quickly over a period of few days.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for the quick intro. Maybe jumping to you, Arthur. Happy New Year. You're super bullish. We already heard that coming in the town hall like that. Maybe you want to update a little bit on what happened after New Year. So a bunch of pools matured. We have plenty of new pools. Do you want to walk us through what's new there?
Yeah, sure. Bullish as always. So yeah, I think over the transition period from 31st of December to 1st of January, a few pools have rolled over. We have introduced a new pool, which is the AUSDT Borrow 3-month market, which we feel is quite interesting from the perspective that USDT has historically been quite an opaque stablecoin, which means that if we look at historical kind of volatility charts of the USDT market, we can see that whenever there is FUD or anything happening to the actual USDT as a stablecoin, quite a lot of lend borrow activity happens in the underlying markets, which opens up very, very interesting arbitrage opportunities for traders on Voltz. And we have already seen quite a few people doing successful trades on these markets. And with the introduction of the AUSDT pool, we feel like this should continue. One thing that we kind of noticed as well is that the traders have started to really kind of appreciate the leverage opportunities offered by Voltz. We can see that there have been some positions closer towards the end of the year that were taking leverage of around 20,000x, which is kind of unheard of in the world of DeFi. But one thing to keep in mind is that even though those leverage numbers might sound really extreme, on an annualized basis, they're not actually that extreme. And this is because as a trader, you're only swapping the difference between variable and fixed rates for the duration of time until maturity, which means the closer you get to the maturity, the more leverage you can safely take. And what we're quite proud of is that even though we have experienced more than almost like, I think more than 4 billion worth of volume in a matter of a few days, the protocol hasn't even flinched, and we haven't really experienced any cases of insolvency in that period, and not many liquidations either, which was an amazing stress test of the protocol, and so it's something we're really excited about. The other introduction that we have into our universe of markets is the 1-month duration pool, which is in the AUSDC land market. We are curious to see how this one gets traded, since we've heard from quite a few of our users that they would prefer to trade shorter duration markets. We're keen to see how that plays out as well. The other interesting dynamic that we've noticed is that the staking markets, more specifically RETH and STETH, have been receiving quite a bit of attention from builders in the space and also some funds looking to hedge their exposure to staking rewards. And this is further validated by CeFi as well, where I don't know if anybody has heard, but BitMEX has already also launched their own version of a staking market on top of the staking rewards on top of Ethereum. And for the most part, we see this as a positive in the space. This means that it opens up further arbitrage opportunities between CeFi and DeFi, and I'm quite curious to see whether people come up with bots or strategies that aim to execute on those. That's we got to keep in mind that in order for the markets to be efficient, we need more players to start bringing those ideas to the plate. And at the end of the day, I think the more teams we have in this space, the more innovation end up happening. And we don't see this as a zero-sum game. I would say that these are some of the main highlights. I think this was also the first time ever that we had the LP optimizer rollover, it's great to see people pushing their funds into new maturities. We appreciate that providing liquidity on Voltz is quite a quite a sophisticated endeavor, given the fact that people need to provide tick ranges and monitor the fixed rates to make sure they don't get locked into unfavorable swaps. So we try and make this experience more approachable, and over time aim to boost the APY opportunities offered by the LP optimizers as we learn more from kind of past activity. So a lot more to come, but so far things have been really, really fun to observe.
It's been a lot of fun, to be honest. We kind of forgot something. So yeah, we have 120 people listening to our town hall. We haven't really introduced ourselves, so I'm just going to do it very quickly. We have 0x Simon and AB, both Simon and Arta, co-founders of Voltz Protocol. I'm joining them. I'm the lead designer at Voltz, and you will see me very active in the community. That's why I'm running this. Also joining us on the stage, we have Johannes Hall, Wonde, and Mike, which is the power of Voltz teams as well. So we try to keep this quite casual, and please feel free to speak if you want to say something. Then alongside that, we have our town hall channel where I'm already seeing a lot of questions popping up. Please don't stop if you have anything to ask. And also we encourage you, if you do want to speak on stage, just raise your hand. I'm very happy to bring you on stage and have a conversation with you all. Sorry, this is kind of in the middle of what we're talking about, but I thought it would be quite convenient we do it. So thank you, Arta. A lot of the changes in the pools is something that we've been planning for a long time. So it's just not flipping a switch. So there's been a lot of work that we put behind the scenes on making that being super smooth. If the community have any suggestions on pools durations, markets, etc., again, reach out. I'm already seeing some questions around that. On Town Hall, we're going to go through all of your questions towards the end, or at least as many as we can. Cool. So maybe we can jump into very quickly. Season 2 is in full swing now. So we already mentioned a little bit, there's been a lot of changes regards on patches and whatnot. We just want to make it a little bit more interesting as we progress. And I want to reiterate these as well. If there's any feedback, anything that you would like to see different in the future, just reach out. We'll make it happen. But going back to what's ahead of us, should I ask you, Simon, what's Volt's future?
Big question. There's over what time frame? I think the long-term objective for Voltz as a primitive is to become, frankly, the biggest piece of financial infrastructure in the world. That's the long-term ambition. If you go back to what I was saying at the start, as a Voltz Labs team, we enjoy kind of building 0 to 1 innovations in DeFi, and kind of bringing new instruments, new tooling to kind of people all around the world, such that people can essentially have democratized access to kind of financial services. Through 2023, there's going to be some pretty big announcements on some new stuff that we're working on. So I won't say anything more at this stage because it will come out as and when it's ready. But hopefully people can see as well that stuff, at the point that we announce it, again, it's going to be kind of repeating that theme, which is it's all 0 to 1 stuff that's designed to massively move the sophistication of the ecosystem and the tools that are available to everybody, massively move those forwards. So we've been doing loads of work. It's, I think, the predominant focus through the course of 2023. But alongside that, we're going to continue to kind of keep doing some of the cool and fun things, like the Community V2 badges. But the majority of the focus is going to be on, frankly, building financial infrastructure.
So if 222 was big, 223 is going to be huge, basically. That's
it's going to
summary.
make 22 look like a baby.
But yeah, I think it's worth what you mentioned. So we do like to do a lot of fun stuff, and we like to onboard everybody on that. But our biggest focus is building financial infrastructure, or like the biggest financial infrastructure of the world. So yeah, we do spend some time on the fun stuff, but our focus is on some other big things. Talking about the fun stuff, Arthur, I think there were like some tiny problems claiming season 1. I think that's like minor issues that only affect few users, and it's any updates there. I think it's under investigation if not fixed already.
Yeah, I think we have seen some cases where people are not able to see their season 1 badges in the UI, even though they are there and they're claimable. So we're investigating it on a case-by-case basis. If for some reason you don't see your badges, please flag it and highlight it in the support tickets. And if for some reason the badges don't come up, there's always an option to also claim them on chain directly. But I'm quite confident we'll get to the bottom of what the causes are. Quite frequently, more often than not, the reason is that people either accidentally look at the season 2 tab instead of the season 1 tab. So please make sure that when you're trying to claim your season 1 badges, click on the season 1 tab. Sometimes it could be cache related issues, so try refreshing your cache on your browser, and then the badges will come up. And then if that doesn't work either, then please highlight your issue in more detail to us, and we'll investigate and we'll check your wallet as well and make sure you get the badges you deserve. Yeah, that's and yeah, I guess Joanna is here on the call as well. She has been driving the community V2 initiative and the badges initiative quite strongly. So I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add to that, Joanna.
No, not really. Well, we're still investigating this issue. I know at the beginning, some people weren't able to see the leaderboard or claim OG badges. Just an FYI, if you had this issue, this should be now solved. So you should be able to claim those badges. And also, I've seen this question come up a lot, like, are we able to, is there a deadline for claiming badges? No, there is no deadline. You can claim your badges whenever you want. And you can also try to do them directly on chain, but that requires some bit of work in terms of turning all the leaves into a miracle root. It's a bit more complicated. So we're trying to fix this issue on the UI so everyone can access it.
Yeah, exactly. So as a summary, your badges are there. There is no deadline to claim. It won't expire. So as soon as it's fixed, you will be able to claim it. If you still have problems, feel free to open a ticket. And talking about tickets, I did want to say thank you, a big thank you to some of our amplifiers that have been of extreme help answering tickets, especially Alonso. He was doing an insane job by like providing clarity on some of these issues. Also, Tatsu is down there. So yeah, thank you very much. Like we really appreciate your help, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And if we could all see your faces, I will literally just like jump and give you a hug. So yeah, thank you very much for all the help that amplifiers they do.
Yeah, I want to say exactly the same thing, because I think if anybody's outside of the labs team or the amplifiers group, you might not see just how many tickets come through at times. There are at times there have been quite a lot. So we clearly couldn't manage that without the support of the amplifiers, and that definitely does not go unnoticed. So kind of massive thank you to all the amplifiers that keep jumping in and helping out with that.
Yeah, I want to personally
Yeah,
thank
exactly.
them as well, because they released a lot of stress from my shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing within that is I remember I think it was like 31st of December or like 1st of January. I was just casually browsing Discord at like 2 a.m. in the morning, and I see Alonso just like kind of replying to all the tickets, doing everything he can to kind of help the users get towards the solutions. And I mean, that's really like I feel like that I don't know, I really appreciate that from the community. And I think there's this saying that like we're only 12 people in the team, and clearly the level of ambition we're aiming for cannot be achieved by such a small group of people. I just want to reiterate that none of it goes unnoticed, and we massively value all the support and feedback from amplifiers and from the rest of the community as well, because every ticket, every feedback, every conversation with you guys brings us one step closer to building something really meaningful for the ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're touching on very key things here. So obviously, we are a small team, and we're trying to build like 0 to 1 innovation. So the endeavor is pretty massive. So all the help that we get, we really appreciate that. And talking about feedback, help, and asking for help, we have Kobarish things in the audience. Kobarish, feel free to join us if you want on stage. But he's prepared like a survey that we will ask you guys to help us out on how you would like to receive notifications, and if that's a feature you would like. So again, we're trying to build this together, and we want to build something that you all feel comfortable using and that it really serves you, not just us. So Kobari, so go ahead and share it if you want. Otherwise, I'll share it as well. So yeah, if it would be immense help if you guys can fill it out. Cool. So anything else I'm forgetting? Otherwise, we jump into QA. Simon, Arthur, we happy?
Sorry, go on, Simon.
Well, I think that's covered everything, unless there's something you're about to jump in on, Arthur.
No, I think there's just one thing, which I can see that there was a question around rollover versus settle. That I think was a question that we had. I just wanted to quickly cover it off. So we had a few questions from the community asking about what is the difference between settlement and rollover, and what does settlement even mean. So I'll just briefly talk through those. So whenever you, as a trader, you have a position or as a liquidity provider in a given pool, as soon as the pool approaches its maturity, you have two options. You can either choose to settle your position, which means effectively closing it down and getting your kind of profit or loss to be realized and get back to your wallet. And the alternative is to effectively opt for a rollover. And what it means is that you could take whatever cash you have in the pool that's about to mature, and you can choose to funnel it into the next maturity in a single transaction. I think there was another question where people were asking, like, how do I withdraw my funds? So settlement is effectively equivalent to withdrawal in this case, where the position gets closed and the funds immediately get funneled to your wallet. So just a small clarification, I hope is helpful for the users and for the community.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for bringing some light to that. And again, if you're unsure what is that you need to do, if it's settling or rolling over and whatnot, feel free to ask whatever is that you need. So cool. Let's move into QA. We have a lot of questions and only, I think, 15 minutes left. But we'll try to get as many as possible answered. So also, if anybody wants to join on stage, just raise your hand. I'm happy to bring you on. on screen. Cool. First one, it probably responds to many of the questions I'm seeing already on the town hall chat. When L2, explain more if possible, or reinforce why Voltz is gas intensive, please. It's a very complex thing to build IRS on chain. That's mainly why it's so gas intensive. But Simon, I'm looking at you. When L2.
Obviously, I think this is the most common question, to the point that you've now created a meme around it. We obviously want to do that. For what it's worth, like our view, and certainly my very strong view, is that like the ZK's L2s are going to be the ones which win long term, and there are some of those which are likely to go onto mainnet this quarter, or at least that's the roadmaps that we're aware of. So it's something that we're kind of really looking at. We want to make it happen. In many ways, our timelines are a little bit dependent on their timelines, plus lining up with everything else that we have going on. But it is something which will clearly happen this year, but hopefully kind of much earlier in the year, assuming timelines line up in a way that works for us.
There you have it. It is something we're very aware of. It's something that you've been asking. Yeah, nobody likes to spend huge amounts of gas doing certain things. Unfortunately, it's the price to pay currently, but it is something that we're proactively looking at and that we will be working on as soon as it's available. So, kind of already bit answered, but Simon, just tell us a little bit more, if you can, about the future plans of Voltz. Yeah, anything else you want to add on that? You've already talked a little bit about it.
Not really. It's just that there's going to be some really big announcements that happen through the course of this year. So we're excited to share that with everyone. Now's not the right time. There's just still too much stuff going on, but it will happen at some point soon, and that's going to be exciting when that does happen.
Exactly. Cool Shade just asked for something about L2s. Did you say that ZK Zinc would be the target for L2 for Voltz?
There's one of a few options. So there's a couple of different ZK based L2s, which are pretty interesting. ZK Sync is one of those. Polygon actually has two solutions. We're talking to those teams. It's ongoing chats, and we're a little bit dependent on their timelines in many respects as well. But it's also, there's a few moving pieces because we've got loads of stuff. We're only in the labs team, we're only 12 people. There's loads and loads of stuff that we're building right now. Like I said, it's focused on kind of 0 to 1 financial infrastructure. And we just need to make sure that we're able to line up our timelines with the timelines of those L2s as and when they go onto mainnet.
Thank you. And a very interesting question by Tatsu. It's quite long, the whole setup for the question. So I'm just going to reply to the question on chat for those of you that want to read the whole context of it. But basically the question is, does Voltz have any plans to develop a feature that will allow traders to express their P&L as NFT? Arta, I think you want to take this one.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a really good question. At the moment, as I guess everybody, most people in this call are aware, positions on Voltz are not tokenized, and there's no way for people to like transfer their position or early withdraw their cash flows. That's something that we are aware of and are actively researching ways to tokenize positions. One thing I would say within this is I don't feel that NFTs are the right way to go in this case, because NFTs are non-fungible, which means that it wouldn't really create a market which is easily tradable and easily composable with other primitives. And at the end of the day, if you want to become one of the biggest financial infrastructure players in the world, we want to be able to easily interface with a range of other protocols. So that's something that's on top of our mind. We have a lot of ideas around how we can enable that. I don't want to give out too much just yet, but that's something that will definitely be possible very, very soon as we start announcing new things.
Very, very soon. Cool. Thank you for that. I'm going to move a little bit quicker. So, Hive team, I've noticed that in the second season, no badges are issued. Actually, they are. Although I have done several activities in Traders and LP, have the requirements changed or do my hands grow out of the wrong place? So, Simon, maybe you want to take this one. We can answer it, but probably good to reinforce it.
Yeah, I think so. The season 2 is up and running. The requirements have changed versus season 1, so that's probably the issue there, that whoever that is hasn't met the requirements rather than the badges not being live.
Yeah, exactly. So, by the way, the designs of the new badges are different from the season.
And they're super cool. Just for what it's worth.
Yeah, so for what it's worth. Cool. Not a question, but suggestion. This is here looking at you, something you posted, which I like a lot. So you mentioned that you have opened an LP position for the first time, and that you earned some, but you've got exposure to one side, and you've been lucky enough for the trader to net off it, so it doesn't show in the UI. AB, anything you want to add to that suggestion?
Yeah, I think one thing that to keep in mind is that as a liquidity provider, there's two sources of, P&L. One source is the actual fee income that you generate as an LP. And of course, the other source is the cash flows generated as a result of kind of interest rate swaps you get locked into as a liquidity provider. So at the moment, we're mindful that the UI doesn't fully communicate the extent to which you as a liquidity provider are locked into an active position, be it a variable taker position or a fixed taker position. That's something that we're actively working on. Kovarish, our product manager, is spending countless hours and days trying to figure out the best way to showcase this information to the traders and LPs, LPs in this case. So please stay tuned, and this will definitely be addressed because we're mindful that fees are not the full, don't really provide the full picture of what's going on with LP positions.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you for that suggestion. And again, I say it every time we have a town hall. I encourage you to send anything that you think we can do to improve. We do read everything, and we try to fix wherever we can. So another question: how many seasons does SBT have? We don't have a cap yet, but as we mentioned before, seasons are getting a bit harder. We change the requirements based on what you guys tell us, but also what we think it will be a bit more fun. So yeah, we're gonna keep doing that for a while. Some additional questions that we've seen in the past as well. When does the referral campaign end? How is it different from a season? Simon, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so there's we made a change at the back end of last year, just got some feedback from the community. So that referral campaign to earn a governor's badge will end at the end of January, but the referral feature will continue forever. So you can still continue to use that clearly beyond January, but the campaign to earn the governor's badge will end at the end of January.
Exactly. So until the end of January, you have time for that. When and how can community badges be earned? Well, it's dependent on certain activities. Currently, we have one window of opportunity, which is this referral campaign to award governance badges. But we will be opening different opportunities throughout the year. And we're also open for suggestions. So if there's anything that you have an idea that could be cool, please just share, and we'll try to implement. How to withdraw funds? AB, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. I think I kind of briefly touched on this when I talked about settlements and rollovers. So, there's two ways, right? Like one way of withdrawing funds is waiting until the maturity of the pool and settling it, which will kind of calculate the cash flows of your position, settle your profits and losses, and then funnel the funds back to your wallet. The alternative is to kind of withdraw funds prematurely before the end of the pool. One thing to be mindful of in that case is that as a trader or as an LP, you can only withdraw up to the initial margin requirement of your position in order to keep the overall protocol safe. And what I mean by that is that if you are exposed, if you have some positive notional exposure, either in the variable or fixed taker direction of the market as an LP or as a trader, you will have to maintain some amount of margin. Which means you can't fully withdraw everything. If you want to maximize the amount of funds you want to withdraw, you have to kind of remove your liquidity and unwind your position. And what I mean by an unwind is kind of taking the opposite side of the trade. So if you're a fixed taker with, let's say, 1,000 worth of notional, you'd have to take a variable taker position with the same amount of notional to fully close it out, remove your exposure from market risk, and only then withdraw your funds. And even then, if there's some leftover P&L in your position, you'll then be able to fully settle it at the maturity of the pool, and that will be kind of highlighted on the UI as well.
Thank you for answering that. We have 4 more minutes and maybe 20 more questions. So let me see if I can go through some of those very quick. We have on our town hall channel somebody asking about audits. We've done 3 audits so far. How many seasons? We've already answered that, so we don't have a number yet. We're just going to make them a bit different and harder. What do you think about gas fee for trade? Yes, they are a bit steep, but because it's a very complex protocol, but we're working on fixing that, and it's probably one big topic in all of product conversations in how to improve that, so no worries about it. What are the most recent milestones you have achieved and the problems you have solved? Would we say the notional traded is a milestone, Simon?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty huge milestone to have had 4.5 or over 4.5 billion of interest rate swaps traded in DeFi is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. So for that is, for us, it's a huge milestone. More NFT questions. No plans for another Genesis NFT. I wanted to know with L2s. Yes, we already answered that. ZK, among others, we're in active talks with different teams. We're doing a great, excellent project. Thank you. Funding raised. We can share an article. By the way, we have a resource center on our website with a lot of guides on how to trade on Voltz, how to LP on Voltz, news, articles on strategies, market research, etc., etc., etc. Among those, you will also see who's behind Voltz in terms of VC funding. Gas Spain shared among everybody, no worries. Thoughts on opening up a June Rocket Lighter pool as soon as Shanghai firmed up for March. Interesting one for you.
I saw this. I don't know. So it's actually funny because I was thinking about this the other day. The original date was for the Shanghai upgrade was 12 months after the merge. It sounds like DCC has seen something to suggest that actually the Shanghai upgrade might happen sooner. And I had seen that they'd taken the date off the kind of FAQs part of the website. So I don't know if anyone else in the labs team has checked this, but we definitely need to check when the Shanghai upgrade is being scheduled for. And clearly having pools that go through that period of time is going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, so this is here. If you're still listening and you want to expand, please feel free to do so. But yeah, definitely we'll consider it. Juicy question for everybody. Tokenomics, Venn token, will we receive POP for MAA? No. Is next version Voltz will be gas lower? Yes. Hopefully, currently only Ethernet, but are you thinking we already answered that? I would like to use more Voltz, but gas is too expensive. There is testnet, so if you want to like test how Voltz works and whatnot, we on Gorley, you can use testnet if you don't want to spend gas. That's for free. Do you have plans to change to a more friendly UI? Yes. For sure, that's something that we're constantly trying to improve is how you all use your UI. So if you have feedback, please send it through. Volts are very interesting. My hope is to add the ability to automatically roll over maturity. Yes, we're looking into that as well. Can team create gasless mode? Yes, testnet is there. My technical question is team rested well on holidays? I did. I don't know if the rest of the team did. I was definitely checking and refreshing doing dashboards. I don't know if that counts as rested. Did you say, yeah, it already answered that. Context on Tatsu question there. Almumig, what do you hope? Do you expect the upcoming regulatory criteria rules or crypto impact goals? That's a too long question to answer, I think, unless you want to check.
I just read it. This rapid fire FAQs is probably my favorite bit of. The Voltz app is, to answer this question in a really short way, the Voltz app is blocked in the US. And there's a whole bunch of geo restrictions around that, just given the regulatory environment in the US.
That's a short answer, but yeah. Cool. This is sharing some more clarity there. Definitely we're going to look into that. But I just want to say thank you very much for everybody on stage, and thank you very much on the audience for coming to this town hall. It's been a blast. We do this once a month, so if you have questions or anything you want to ask during that time, please feel free to do so. We have a lot of fun doing this, and if you also have suggestions on ways to change it, please also share. But yeah, thank you very much. It's been epic to see everybody joining for the first one of this year. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Arthur, Joanna, Sol, Mike, Wanda, for also joining on stage.
Thanks, everyone. It's going to be a big year. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Big year. Big year.
Big year. Thank you all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.